Long before the Nine Worlds knew the names of heroes, before the walls of Asgard had ever felt the weight of a siege, there were two families of gods. In the high halls of Asgard lived the Aesir, which consists of Odin the All-Father, Thor of the Thunder, and their kin gods of war, law, and conquest. Far across the worlds, in green Vanaheim, lived the Vanir, which consists gods of earth, sea, harvest, and the slow magics that made crops grow and tides turn. For an age, the two tribes had little to do with one another. The Aesir built and warred, the Vanir planted and prospered. Neither thought much of the other. That peace ended with the arrival of a woman. She came to Asgard alone, walking through the gates as though she had every right to be there, and called herself Heið, though some say her true name was Gullveig, and that she may have been Freya herself in disguise, testing the gods of war to see what they were made of. Whoever she was, she carried with her a deep, old magic of the Vanir, the kind that could see into the threads of fate and bend them. She offered to teach this magic to the Aesir, and for a time they were enchanted by her. But the magic did something to those who learned it. It planted greed where there had been honor, and hunger where there had been restraint. The gods of Asgard, who prided themselves on law and loyalty, began to scheme against one another. Whispers spread that the witch was the cause, that she had brought corruption into the Hall of Order itself. The Aesir turned on her. They speared her through and burned her body on a fire in the middle of Odin's own hall. She rose from the ashes whole. They burned her a second time. Again, she stepped out of the flames unmarked, her gold-craving heart somehow untouched by fire. They tried a third time, and a third time she emerged, and the Aesir understood, with a kind of cold dread, that nothing they did to her would end her. Word of what had happened reached Vanaheim, and the Vanir were not interested in explanations. One of their own, kinswoman, sorceress or goddess, it hardly mattered, had been tortured 3 times over by the proud gods of Asgard. They demanded either payment for the insult or recognition as equals among all the worlds. Odin, never a god to bow easily, refused. He would not pay tribute to the Vanir as though Asgard had done wrong. And so the first war the cosmos had ever known began. It did not look like the wars that would come after, fought by men with iron and shields. This was a war of gods, and it shook the roots of the world tree itself. The Aesir marched to battle as they always had, with spears and swords, with the sheer crushing weight of muscle and steel, trusting in strength to settle what words could not. Thor, though young in that age and not yet wielding Mjolnir, fought at the front of every charge, and where he passed, the earth split, and the air cracked like a whip. But the Vanir did not meet steel with steel. They answered with magic. Where the Aesir advanced in disciplined ranks, the Vanir bent the land itself against them. Rivers rose without warning to swallow advancing warriors. Mists fell so thick that companies of gods lost each other in broad daylight and struck down their own kin by mistake, and the ground softened to mud beneath marching feet, exactly when it was needed most. Njord, lord of sea and wind, called storms down on Aesir ships before they ever reached shore. It was said that the Vanir could make a man see his dearest friend as a monster, and his sharpest enemy as harmless, until the battlefield became a place where no one could fully trust their own eyes. For a long while, neither side could break the other. The Aesir won ground through sheer force, only to lose it again to enchantment and deception. The Vanir held their borders through cunning, but could not push the war back into Asgard's own halls, for the strength of the Aesir in close combat was simply too great. Seasons passed. Whole companies of lesser gods and spirits fell on both sides, and the wall around Asgard, the one Odin had ordered built in the chaos of the fighting, raised hastily of stone and timber, was battered and rebuilt more times than anyone cared to count.